Okay, buckle up, 'cause you won't believe this. So, you know how I always thought that if you just worked hard and were loyal, things would eventually pay off? Yeah, well, that idea crashed and burned the day I stumbled onto this old document folder. It was just a regular afternoon, maybe a few months back. Stopped by my parents' place in Boise, Idaho, just like I did pretty much every weekend. My mom, Evelyn, isn't exactly a tech wizard, so I'd usually help her sort out bills, figure out taxes, scan stuff. You know the drill. This old 2-story brick house, man, I'd spent almost 10 years pouring money into it, helping fix it up tile by tile. It honestly felt as much like my home as my own apartment did. So Mom says, "Hey Clara, can you take a look at this mess for me?" She hands me this big unorganized stack of papers and heads off to mess with her orchids in the backyard. I sat down at the dining table, just sifting through the pile, and then my eyes landed on this thick, cream-colored envelope. Right there, in big letters, it said, "Estate Plan and Will." I hesitated. And yeah, okay, maybe I was a little curious. But mostly, I just wanted to make sure everything was in order. Because, honestly, I was always the one who worried about stuff like this. The one who somehow kept the family from completely going off the rails. But as I flipped through the pages, and got to the part about who gets what, my chest just got super tight. Everything, and I mean everything my parents owned. The house, which is worth a good chunk, their savings, like $500,000 in the bank, the new SUV, even Mom's wedding ring. Blue was all clearly spelled out, every single bit of it, going to Jessica, my younger sister, and me. Nothing. Not one word about me. Not a single mention of my name beyond this vague line that just said, "We love both our daughters." I just gripped that paper, my knuckles turning white. Suddenly, every memory just flooded back, working 2 jobs just to help them with the mortgage, driving through nasty snowstorms just to get Mom her medication on time, getting on a ladder to fix the plumbing or replace those shingles last winter. Every single one of those moments, it felt like that cold printed sentence on the page just wiped them out of existence. I heard Mom come back inside. Her footsteps were light behind me. "Clara, honey, did you find that statement?" I stood up. The will was still in my hand. I turned around. My voice was calm, weirdly calm. "Mom," I said, "is this real?" She froze. Her eyes darted to the paper in my hand. "Oh, Clara, what does that mean?" I cut her off. My throat felt tight, but every word came out sharp. "A lifetime of caring for you and Dad, and I'm just written off like I never even existed." Just then, Dad, Robert, walked in from the living room, coffee mug in hand. He set it down with this sigh, like he was about to comment on the weather or something. "You don't need to react like this, Clara," he said. "You're doing fine. Jessica, she's still figuring things out." I actually laughed. It wasn't a happy sound, just dry, figuring things out. "Dad, she's 30. She changes jobs every 3 months. Lives off YouTube videos and can't even pay her own phone bill. I'm the one who paid your mortgage for the last 3 years. It's the one who fixed the roof last winter. It's the one who's kept this house from falling apart, dollar by dollar." Mom stepped forward, put her hand over mine. Like that would somehow calm me down. "Don't overthink it, honey," she said. "I just wanted your sister to feel secure." I pulled my hand away, just nodded a little. My gaze felt ice cold, secure. And what about me? It's the only one who's kept this place standing all these years. They didn't say a word. I placed the will back on the table. It felt like I was putting down a declaration of war. "Thanks," I said. "Thanks for showing me where I really stand." I walked to the door, didn't look back. Nobody called out behind me, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel hurt. I just felt empty. It's a quiet, hollow kind of emptiness that just chilled me right to the bone. I never went back to that house after finding the will. 2 weeks, just silence. No calls, no messages. It's like I'd just vanished from their world. I kept telling myself, if they have even a shred of decency, they'll reach out. But instead of an apology or some kind of explanation, guess what I got? A message from Dad. Clara, this month's mortgage is due. Can you transfer it soon? Deadline's Friday. I just froze, staring at that message. Couldn't believe my eyes. Part of me almost laughed. No mention of what happened. No asking if I was okay. Just a demand. Like I was their personal ATM, always on call. I typed back. Every word felt like ice. I think Jessica can handle it. That house is hers now, right? Then I just set my phone down. Didn't wait. 10 minutes later, the screen lit up again. This time, it was Mom. Clara, don't do this. We need to talk. I didn't answer. I wasn't sad anymore. I wasn't even angry. It's this weird, almost ruthless clarity. It had just taken the place of every tiny, fragile hope I used to cling to. For years, I actually believed my sacrifices would be acknowledged. I was wrong. And I had zero interest in playing the savior anymore. 3 days later, the next message came. From Jessica. You're overreacting. Mom and Dad didn't mean it like that. You've always been independent, and I'm just not. You know that? I typed slowly. Each word felt like it was cutting right through her fake excuses. Then prove you deserve what you've been given. Start by paying the mortgage. No response. Another week passed. More silence, until one Monday morning. I was just having coffee in my kitchen. My phone buzzed. A transfer request. Exactly $3,000. From my mom. No message attached. It's a cold withdrawal request. It's emotionless as the way they'd written me out of everything. I hit decline. Didn't even think twice. Minutes later, the phone rang. It was Mom. I let it ring. 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Then I hit decline call. A message followed instantly. Clara, I know you saw it. Why did you decline? I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, replied simply, because it's no longer my responsibility. Ask Jessica. And you know what? It's for the first time in my life. It felt like I had control. I wasn't the one scrambling to fix cracks that I didn't create. I wasn't sacrificing my entire youth just to patch up other people's failures. 3 days later, Jessica texted again. You're being so selfish. Didn't you always say family comes first? I read that message over and over. Family. The family she was talking about was the same one that treated me like some random outsider. It's like a walking wallet, I replied with one sentence. Family is about fairness and respect, not using someone until they're no longer useful. After that silence again, no more messages. It settled over everything. But this time, it didn't feel lonely. It felt like relief. Like a huge weight just lifted off my shoulders. A release from a burden I'd carried for way too long. But deep down, I knew this silence was only just starting, because they'd be back when nobody else would help. When the house was about to be taken by the bank, when Jessica, with all that inheritance, still wouldn't have a clue how to pay a bill on time. And when that moment came, I'd be ready. Not to rescue them, but to show them, finally, that I wasn't the person who would sacrifice everything without so much as a thank you. The next message from Jessica came near midnight. I was halfway through this historical novel I was really into, sipping hot tea. My phone lit up. I didn't even need to open it to know the tone. You're blowing this way out of proportion. I just scrolled past it and kept reading my book for a Manana. Everyone's already stressed out. Another message. Why are you choosing now to be dramatic? It's just a few payments. You've always done it. A dry laugh just slipped out. It's no humor at all. Just a few payments. It's easy to say when you've never paid a single utility bill in your life. I typed back. I'm not being dramatic. Ty, I'm being clear. And you better get used to it. Less than a minute later, she replied again. You are seriously selfish. Don't be surprised if mom and dad don't forgive you. I set the phone down. And you know what? For the first time in years, I didn't feel guilty. That voice in my head wondering, what if they're upset? Or that obsession with being the good daughter. It was just gone. I'd crossed a line. The line between being exploited and finally standing up for myself the next day. I called my bank and had my name removed from that joint account we used for the mortgage. I also called all the utility companies and canceled every single auto payment I'd been secretly handling for years. I deleted all the bill reminders on my phone. Felt like a small ceremony, honestly, marking the end of my role in their household. That night, I cleaned up my tiny apartment, played my favorite music, and I bought myself this little chocolate cake I'd always loved but never actually bought because the money always had to go towards, well, more important things. I started sleeping soundly. Woke up without that familiar jolt of a payment notification needing attention. I went to work feeling light, like I wasn't dragging 3 other adults on my back anymore. I even signed up for an online art class, something I'd dreamed about for years, but always pushed aside because I didn't have time, or more accurately, wasn't really allowed to be selfish. And as my life finally started to just breathe on its own again, the knocks from the past got louder early the next week. Mom, Evelyn called. I didn't answer. Message right after. Clara, we need to talk. Your sister doesn't know how to pay the internet bill. Can you help? I didn't respond. 2 days later, another one. The landline got cut. She says she can't log in. I don't know what to do. I read the message. Then I went to my bookshelf and pulled out this old notebook. It's the one where I'd written down every password, billing schedule, customer service number for everything at their house. Every time my parents didn't know what to do, they called me. Every time Jessica forgot a payment, I just handled it. This time, I closed the notebook, put it back. I wasn't their assistant. I wasn't the backbone of a system that just erased me the second I stopped being useful. 3 days later, another message from Jessica landed right in my inbox. Are you kidding me right now? Power's about to be shut off? Are you really going to let that happen to our family? I replied with just one sentence. No, I'm just letting everyone take responsibility for their own choices. Silence. Didn't hear anything for several more days. Until one morning, a call came from a number I didn't recognize. It was Mrs. Davies, the neighbor who'd lived next door to my parents for the last 20 years. Clara, dear, your mom asked if I knew anyone who was selling houses. She said gently, I think they're not managing very well anymore. I thanked her. Hung up. I didn't feel smug. Didn't smile. I didn't cry either. Just sat by the window, watching the sunlight spill through the trees outside, and realized something. For the first time in my life, I wasn't being crushed by duty or guilt. I had chosen to step out of that cycle, and I wasn't going back. The first message came on a Monday morning from someone I didn't expect. Mr. Henderson, the neighbor who'd lived on the other side of my parents for over 20 years. Clara, are your parents okay? Evelyn asked what day it was. She thought she got the date wrong, but she just got a letter from the bank. It clearly says Notice of foreclosure. I stared at the screen, so it had happened. Faster than I expected. 4 weeks since I stopped all the support. 4 weeks for the house I once kept from falling apart, dollar by dollar, to finally start collapsing. An hour later, Mom called. I didn't answer. Message followed right after the ringing stopped. Clara, please, we really need you right now. Serious. I read it, then set the phone down. Like it had absolutely nothing to do with me. But honestly, my chest still felt heavy. I had once thought this moment, seeing them struggle, would bring some weird sense of satisfaction. But it didn't. It's only a hollow, aching fatigue. Maybe I was just too used to cleaning up after others' messes. I didn't reply. 2 days later, for the first time in weeks, Jessica showed up at my door. She just stood there. In this wrinkled hoodie, no makeup, clutching a messy stack of documents. Her eyes were wide, full of pure panic. I just need 5 minutes, she said, breathless. Just 5 minutes, Clara. I crossed my arms, stood in the doorway, didn't feel a single ounce of sympathy. You here to ask for money? Not money, she blurted out, her voice shaky. I need your help talking to the bank. I don't understand. The terms they're using. I'm overwhelmed. What about the inheritance you got? I asked. My tone was as casual as commenting on the weather. She looked down, mumbled, It's tied up in an investment portfolio. If I withdraw now, there's a penalty. I didn't think it would spiral this fast. I raised an eyebrow, yet you signed for everything. Without hesitation. I thought Mom and Dad had it under control. They said it was all set. I didn't think exactly, I finished quietly. You didn't think? Like always. Jessica fell silent. I stepped out of the doorway and pulled the door closed behind me. This is the lesson you need to learn, Jessica, I said softly. Everyone stumbles. But no one grows if someone's always there to catch them. You're really going to let them lose the house? She asked, her voice small. I'm not letting anything happen, I corrected. They made their choice. Now they live with it. I turned away, leaving Jessica standing alone in the building's hallway. 3 days later, I ran into Mark, an old classmate who became a real estate agent. It was at this networking event at the local arts center. I was just about to tell him about this photo project I was working on when he cut me off, eyes wide. Clara, is your parents' house on Oak Avenue? Kay nodded. Someone on my team mentioned. Them, he said, looking uncomfortable. Sounds like they're urgently looking to sell. Old house needs work. High foreclosure risk. Are you doing okay? I gave a faint smile. I'm fine. Guess they're not. Mark looked like he wanted to say more, but decided against it. That night, I opened my laptop and spotted an email from a legal aid organization I used to volunteer with back in college. They were starting a new program, mentoring seniors who were dealing with housing debt. I smiled softly. Life has a strange way of circling back sometimes. I sat quietly for a long moment before starting the online application. Not for my parents, not for Jessica, for me. It's the one who had finally learned how to let go. I didn't need to save that old house anymore. If I could use what I'd been through to maybe help someone else avoid falling into that same painful cycle, that would be worth it. Saturday afternoon, I had just wrapped up a photography workshop I was teaching and got back to my quiet little apartment. Expected a hot cup of tea and a peaceful evening. But as I pulled into the parking lot, I saw this familiar silver minivan parked near the gate. 4 years ago, I'd co-signed for that van when my dad, Robert, couldn't make the payments anymore. I'd actually transferred the title completely to him last year, like a final gesture of trust, I guess. Now it was just sitting there, like a bitter reminder. I got out of my car, walked slowly towards the building entrance. My parents were standing there, waiting. Jessica was a bit behind them, clutching her purse, eyes full of this barely hidden worry. I didn't say anything. I just stopped a few steps away, crossed my arms, waited. My mother, Evelyn, spoke first. Her voice was trembling. "Clara, I'm sorry we had to come here," she said. "But things have gotten out of hand. The bank's coming to reassess the property next week." My father continued. His voice was lower, more weary than I'd ever heard it. "We made a mistake. I know that, Clara. But if the house is taken, your mother won't be able to handle it." I looked straight at him. My gaze felt colder than it had ever been. "Then why?" I asked, my voice quiet. "When writing the will, did you decide I wasn't worth including?" He dropped his eyes, fingers fidgeting with the edge of his coat. "Back then we thought you'd be fine. You've always been strong. But Jessica," I interrupted softly, cutting him off, "gets to fail, gets forgiven, and inherits everything." I turned my head to face my sister. She pressed her lips together, said nothing. "No denial," I said. My voice was quiet, but every word was sharp. "No excuse. I gave away my youth without conditions, and in return, I got disregard. And the assumption that Clara will take care of it." I shook my head. "I'm not in that role anymore." My mother's tears started falling. "We didn't know it would come to this, Clara," she sobbed. "Can't you help? Just a little. It's for a few months, until things stabilize." I shook my head again. It felt like a breeze in my chest, just sweeping away years of obligation. "I'm not saying no because I can't help," I said. "I'm saying no because if I do, everyone will go right back to believing they never need to change." Jessica finally spoke. Her voice was small, broken. "I didn't realize it would get so complicated. I thought it just needed time. I didn't think you'd walk away so fast." I looked at her. "For the first time in weeks," I said. "I didn't walk away fast," I warned. "I waited. I hoped. But our family chose to ignore all of it. So this is really the end," Mom whispered, tears still fresh on her cheeks. I looked at her. The woman who once rocked me to sleep, who I'd driven medicine to, taken to the ER, cooked for after Dad retired. And in that moment, I saw clearer than ever the line between blood and actual love. "I didn't end this," I said. "It ended the moment you decided who deserved to be named and who didn't." No one said a word. The late autumn wind was whistling through the bare trees, carrying a chill no jacket could warm. I stepped up onto the porch, pulled out my keys, and unlocked the door. Before walking inside, I turned back one last time. "I hope you find a way," I said. "But I'm no longer the lifeline for this family." I looked at Jessica specifically, spoke slowly. "If you truly want to grow up, this is your chance. I've stepped off the merry ground. Now it's your turn." I walked in and shut the door behind me. The sound of the wind in the hallway seemed to just drown out their footsteps as they left. I stood quietly in my living room, the afternoon sunlight casting a long beam across the floor through the glass door to the balcony. No tears, no heartbreak, just a silence, peaceful. I honestly thought that after that final confrontation, they'd just go quiet. Hoped the truth of the situation would make them reflect, and maybe, just maybe, they'd step back out of some kind of pride. But I guess I totally overestimated the self-awareness of people who have always lived off others. About a week later, I got a message from Chloe, a coworker from the art center. "Clara, are you on Facebook? You should check your mom's page. She's posting some unbelievable stuff." My hand actually trembled a little as I typed Evelyn Miller into the search bar. Her timeline was exactly what you'd expect. Emotional posts, flower photos, inspirational quotes. Oh, but what made me freeze was this one post. It had a picture of our old house attached. It's heartbreaking when your own daughter turns her back on family, the post said, abandoning sick and aging parents, refusing to help in our time of need after everything we sacrificed for her. Over 80 shares. The comments, full of sympathy for them, comfort, and a whole lot of judgment for the ungrateful child. I bit my lip, scrolled further, and saw another post. This one from Dad, Robert. We thought Clara was someone who loved her family, but when we needed her the most, she walked away without a word. The house is about to be taken, and she acts like nothing's happening. Then came a post from Jessica. With this clear, mocking tone, some people are only kind when they're above you, looking down. But when family asks them to step down and help, they choose silence. That's today's version of strong, I guess. I gripped my phone tighter. I wasn't angry anymore. Wasn't even shocked. I was just tired. When guilt didn't work on me anymore, they turned to public shaming. But they forgot one thing. I wasn't silent anymore. That night, I opened my laptop, logged into my Facebook, which I hardly ever used. I made a single post. No fancy background color, no cute design, just text. But every word was clear. As daylight, my family is sharing a one-sided story. I wrote, "So, to be fair, here's the truth from my side." I attached a photo of the will, the page showing Jessica as the sole beneficiary. I posted screenshots of the mortgage payments, the utility bills, the insurance, all clearly under my name. Included the last text I got from my mom asking for $3,000 to save the house. I ended with one line. My silence wasn't consent. I was just waiting for the right moment to tell the truth. That moment is now, within 10 minutes. The first comment popped up. "Clara, you seriously did all of this? I can't believe it." An old friend commented, "You're one of the kindest people I know." Don't let anyone make you doubt that then. One by one, people started sharing the post. People who knew my parents chimed in. Many were shocked. "I always thought Jessica lived pretty recklessly. Now it makes sense." Another said, "No one should be taken advantage of like that, especially not by their own family." My post spread fast, not because it was super dramatic or sensational, but because it was real, was honest, and it didn't back down. 2 days later, Mom took down all her posts. Dad deactivated his account completely. Jessica changed her profile picture to some vague black and white flower. That's her classic dramatic move whenever things completely slip out of her control. I didn't respond to any of it. Didn't post anything else. I just sat in my apartment, listening to the rain tapping softly on the window. But for the first time, I felt justice. Not in a mean way, but in a right way. I didn't need an apology. Didn't need them to bow their heads. I just needed them to stop. And it seemed, finally, they understood. Okay, that I wasn't someone they could manipulate anymore. One simple post. Okay, enough to end the years I'd felt forced into silence. And now, I was finally writing my own next chapter. Not on social media, in real life. Since that day I posted, I haven't heard a single word from Mom, Dad, or Jessica. Everything's been quiet, still like a forgotten lake after a storm. But it wasn't the silence of waiting anymore. This was the silence of acceptance. They had lost the only person who always came back and fixed everything after they broke it. I was the opposite. Started to live. Every Monday morning I headed to the art center to teach my first photography class for high school students. The way their eyes lit up, holding a camera for the first time. The way they started seeing the world differently through a lens, it reminded me that not everyone sees the same thing. And sometimes, you just have to choose your own angle. In the Evenings, I took a part-time video editing course. It's a skill I'd always dreamed of learning but kept putting off because my family needed me. Now, nobody needs me. And for the first time in my life, that felt incredibly freeing. I started going on evening walks. Just unhurried, carefree, baked on weekends. Posted pictures on Instagram without worrying if someone would call me fake. Made new friends in class. People who didn't know me as the one who held the family together. Because of that, I finally got to just be me. While I was figuring out how to breathe across town. That house at 218 Oak Avenue started popping up on real estate listings. A friend of mine, Mark, who's a realtor now, texted me, "Clara, your parents' house is up for sale. It's asking $400,000, but no offers. Looks like they couldn't fix the roof or that faulty wiring." I wasn't surprised. There's no one there anymore to fix the fuse box at midnight. No one to replace the water heater or call the repair guy on time. No more me. That house had survived for years because of my efforts. And now it just reflected the truth. Neglected, run down, and with no one left who could keep it standing. I heard one more update from Mrs. Davies, the elderly neighbor. She called just to check in, being sweet, but before hanging up, she mentioned casually, "Oh, and it seems like Jessica's moved back in with your parents. I see her doing the grocery runs quite often now. She doesn't look too happy." I looked up from my laptop, took a sip of my coffee, which was still warm. In the past, hearing something like that would have made my chest tighten with worry or obligation. But now, I just shrugged. Maybe what Jessica needed most was a taste of the instability she used to so easily ignore because I always fixed it. I wasn't glad they were struggling. I just no longer wanted to carry the weight of choices that weren't mine. For the first time in maybe 10 years, a savings account was actually growing steadily. I booked a trip to Seattle for the fall, just to photograph the changing leaves. I put a deposit down on a new semi-pro camera, something I used to think was an unnecessary luxury because money had to go to more important things. I was learning to take care of myself. It's the way I once tried to care for an entire family. I also started writing again. It's not defensive social media posts this time. It's a blog about breaking away from toxic family dynamics. Some entries got shared. A lot. So many people messaged me, thanking me for putting words to what they'd felt but never knew how to express. And on a rainy afternoon, while I was editing photos in my favorite cafe, my phone buzzed. A notification from a real estate site. Price dropped by $25,000 on property at 218 Oak Avenue, owner seeking urgent sale. I looked at the photo of the house. Dark roof tiles, rotting fence, peeling window frames. It used to symbolize duty, pressure, expectation. Now it was just a house, waiting to be rescued. And I wasn't the rescuer anymore. I tapped hide notification, closed my phone, and smiled. It was a soft smile. Lighter than air, but deeper than any sigh I'd swallowed over the years. I didn't belong there anymore. One early winter afternoon, I was walking around Willow Creek Park with my new camera. The golden light of dusk was cutting through the bare branches, casting soft beams across the water. I stopped, raised my camera, captured this perfect frame. A little boy running in the distance, his mother behind him, laughing and calling out. In that moment, I finally realized some things aren't meant to be held on to forever, 'cause they were never truly yours to begin with. I used to believe family was this thing you could never lose, that blood was some unbreakable bond. But now, I know the thing that makes a family real isn't DNA, it's respect and gratitude. I had given everything, in hopes of just being seen, and in return, I became the name left off a will. the one called dramatic for refusing to carry everyone else's burdens anymore. I wasn't angry anymore. Not really. I had just let go. They still lived there, in that old house, now listed for the third time. Word was, whenever someone came to view it, Jessica would try to act like this responsible homeowner. But when they asked about maintenance, records, or repair bills, she'd just smile awkwardly. Because all those years, no one ever taught her any of that stuff. I never went back. Not once. My mother did send me a handwritten letter one time, sealed in a familiar blue envelope. It's the handwriting I knew by heart. She wrote about her sleepless nights, not knowing where to even start fixing things. How Dad wasn't as strong as he used to be. The very end, she wrote, "I don't know how much time we have left to fix things, but if you're willing, I'm still here." I folded the letter. I didn't tear it up. I didn't reply. I just placed it in the drawer under my desk. Right next to undeveloped photos and half-finished writing drafts, things that needed time to be understood and accepted. I don't hate them. Not at all. I just no longer had the strength to keep sacrificing myself without ever being heard. I kept working, kept teaching, kept creating and capturing the world through my lens. I even had this small photo exhibit at a friend's cafe, showcasing images that felt like they traced my journey to healing. Early mornings in the park, golden light on quiet streets, an elderly woman's thin hands holding a warm mug, a single flower fallen on cracked pavement. A middle-aged woman came up to me afterward, shook my hand, said, "I don't know why, but every photo of yours feels like it's speaking for someone who's been silent for a long time." I just smiled, didn't say anything, 'cause she was right. I had spent my life staying quiet, for peace, for the role of the good daughter, the desperate hope that enough giving would finally earn me the love I craved. But now, I've chosen a different kind of peace. Not one that comes from other people's approval, but from finally choosing myself. I've learned how to love myself unconditionally. I've learned to say no without that crushing guilt. I've learned to let other people face the consequences of their own choices. And most importantly, I've learned not to look back. They're still my family, on paper, in memory, but they are absolutely no longer at the center of my every decision. I don't know what the future holds. There will be some kind of reunion someday. Maybe things will just stay exactly as they are. But honestly, that doesn't matter anymore, because in the end, I finally understand. Family isn't just the people who share your last name. Family is the people who value your presence. The ones who don't treat your kindness like it's just something they're owed. It's the ones who make you feel seen and chosen. And if none of them can do that, that's okay. Because I have a family.me, and I don't need to look anywhere else. My story isn't a tragedy, it's an awakening. I once believed love and sacrifice would always be rewarded. Our family was unshakable. But the truth is, nobody deserves to be taken for granted, not even by their own blood. I've learned to set boundaries, to walk away when necessary, and to choose myself without regret. Now, I live with lightness, freedom, and peace, not because they changed, but because I changed myself so. What's your take on Clara's decision? Was she too harsh? Or was this the only way she could truly protect herself and find peace? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And hey, don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.